Malaysia to celebrate AIDIL-FITRI tomorrow. Thousands rally in May Day protest worldwide, and union wants new minimum wage for public sectors. Those are the headlines for tonight. Good evening, everyone. You're me, Douglas Elliott, and this is TVS Nightline. We begin with our top story. After 2 years of celebrating Shawwal in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, Muslims in Malaysia will celebrate Hari Raya AIDIL-FITRI tomorrow, May the 2nd. The announcement was made by Keeper of the Rural Seal, Tan Sri Syed Daniel Syed Ahmad, in a televised event earlier tonight. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah, in his greetings, called on the people to observe good health practices during the Hari Raya celebrations as part of continued efforts to break the COVID-19 infection chain.
Pelbagai onak dan ranjau yang telah kita tempuhi dalam perjuangan membebaskan negara daripada belenggu COVID-19. Melangkah ke hadapan, rakyat Beta hendaklah meneruskan momentum dengan berterusan mempraktikkan amalan penjagaan kesihatan yang baik dan mematuhi semua saranan kerajaan. Jangan sekali-kali mengambil mudah dan bersikap sambil lewa akan nikmat kesihatan yang dikurniakan Allah SWT. Sesungguhnya nikmat kesihatan itu adalah asas bagi kehidupan yang sempurna dan kepada pembangunan negara tercinta.
His Majesty also expressed confidence that the reopening of Malaysia's border on April 1st will have a big impact on the country's economic recovery, as well as bring joy to the people who now can return to their hometowns to visit family members. Similarly, Prime Minister Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the COVID-19 pandemic has shown the strength of every Malaysian in facing difficult situations.
Ujian pandemik COVID-19 yang berlaku selama 2 tahun ini menjadikan kita semakin menginsafi diri. Namun, di sebalik setiap cabaran dan dugaan yang dilalui, keluarga Malaysia telah membuktikan kekuatan dan keutuhan mendepani cabaran.
He also called upon Malaysians to continue practicing self-discipline for everyone's safety, even though the SOPs have been relaxed. Recognizing and appreciating each other's differences not only creates an environment that is inclusive to everyone, but also strengthens Sarawak as a whole. Head of State, His Excellency Tun Pehin Sri Abdul Taib Mahmud, in his Hari Raya greeting, called upon the people to unite in diversity and respect one another.
Semarakkanlah semangat perpaduan yang telah terjalin sekian lama sambil menikmati juadah hidangan yang ada. Jangan lupa ambillah peluang untuk bermaaf-maafan serta bersenda loka bersama keluarga.
At the same time, he also reminded all Sarawakians to remain vigilant, even though the standard operating procedures to curb COVID-19 infection are being relaxed. Meanwhile, Premier of Sarawak Dato' Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, in his Hari Raya AIDIL-FITRI greeting, called on the people of Sarawak, especially Muslims, to continue the culture of respecting one another. He said that Islam as a religion teaches its followers to preserve human dignity as a manifestation of the greatness of God Almighty.
Marilah kita sama-sama merayakan hari yang mulia ini dengan semangat muhibbah dan persaudaraan antara sesama manusia tanpa mengira perbezaan agama dan keturunan walaupun dalam keadaan yang mencabar.
As the world celebrates Labor Day on Sunday, thousands took to the streets for May Day to honor workers and to protest against the government. The Labor Day protests were reported in France and other parts of Europe, as well as in Asia. In France, the Labor Day holiday to honor workers was being used as a rally against newly re-elected President Emmanuel Macron. Union representatives have all planned marches nationwide, when many people took to the streets in honor of the day. Around 20,000 people were seen in Paris, with 1,500 law enforcement officers on the ready. Events also took place in cities and towns including Marseille, Lyon, Dijon, and Strasbourg. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, Filipino workers and labor groups mounted protests to push for labor rights and economic aid and call for a stop to human rights violations ahead of the presidential election on May 9th. The Labor Day protests serve as an appeal to national candidates to address labor rights issue following the attacks on labor leaders and groups. In Manila, groups demanded higher wages and protest against the rising prices of goods and services, while in Baguio City, a rally was led by workers in urban poor communities as they highlighted the continuing economic crisis made worse by the pandemic and oil price hike.
Meanwhile, back in Malaysia, in recognition and appreciation to the workers in generating the nation's progress, the government has agreed to give rewards in conjunction with the Workers' Day celebration. Prime Minister Dato Sri Ismail Sabri said the minimum salary of 1,500 ringgit, which came into effect today, was a gift to the workers for their tireless dedication in developing the country's economy.
Ismail Sabri said the rewards included the government to bear 80% of the total contribution of self-employed individuals through the Self-Employment Social Security Scheme under the Social Security Organization SOCSO, with a target to benefit at least 1 million individuals. The Prime Minister said the government had also agreed to make it mandatory for the setting up of nurseries in public sector workplaces, including federal and state governments, as well as statutory bodies, before expanding it to the private sectors. According to him, the government has provided an annual grant of 10 million ringgit in 2019 and 30 million ringgit in 2020 for the initiative to provide relief to employees with small children. Apart from that, Ismail Sabri said the reopening of the country's borders provided space for the re-employment of foreign workers in certain sectors, especially in the 3D, dirty, dangerous and difficult sector. He added that a comprehensive mechanism would be devised to reduce dependence on foreign workers so that locals are given priority.
The Congress of Unions of Employees in the Public and Civil Services Sarawak has proposed the government to extend the implementation of a higher minimum wage to the public sector as well. CUEPACS Sarawak Chairman Omar Bahrain Unin said the union proposed a minimum wage of 1,800 ringgit for civil servants.
He said in this way, civil servants will also enjoy the same increase in their monthly income.
Kita turut mengambil kira jika ditambah dengan 3 jenis allowance tetap yang setiap pejabat awam dapat, seperti allowance khidmat awam, imbuhan tetap perumahan dan bayaran insentif wilayah. Ketiga-tiga allowance ini jika ditambah dengan gaji 1,800 minimum, ia boleh mencapai nilai sehingga 2,200 hingga 2,300 bulan. Jadi kalau kita lihat juga dengan keadaan semasa kehidupan penjawat awam dan semua di rakyat kita, bahawa dengan kos sara hidup yang amat tinggi sekarang ini adalah tidak adil bagi penjawat awam jika hanya menerima gaji minimum sebanyak 1,200 sebulan.
He hopes that the government can consider the views and recommendations of CUEPACS Sarawak in the interest of the welfare of public servants who are the implementers of every policy of government to benefit the people. Currently, the minimum wage is at 1,200 ringgit and was last gazetted on February 1st. Touching on the minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit among private sectors, Omar lauded the decision and describes it as appropriate and timely.
Welcome back. Bau District wants a historical gold mining district will soon become a main tourist product in Sarawak. In the effort to draw visitors to the district, an art and a folklore music festival will be held at Sinyawan Heritage Town from May 20th to May 22nd.
The Sinyawan Art and Folklore Music Festival is the first version of it this year. That's why we don't do it so big enough. Like, we hope to attract more people to come to Sinyawan to support the event, and of course, we'll pay back, generate the income for the locals in terms of business and so on. Yeah.
He said the organization of the festival is part of the state government's effort to draw in more tourists to Sarawak and at the same time generate income for the local community. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Tourism, Dato' Sebastian Ting, said that the district's proximity to Kuching and nature attractions are among its main draw.
How as a whole, tourist potential definitely will be very good. I think the potential here is good, fantastic. It's only half an hour from our Kuching town. When the Borneo road is completed, it will be even better. Traveling will be the east.
He added the ministry will work closely with Sarawak Tourism Board in promoting tourism destinations in Bau.
There is an ongoing trend among teachers opting for early retirement. The statistics by the National Union of Teaching Profession in recent years showed that about 10,000 teachers had applied for early retirement. According to Sarawak Teachers Union STU President Adam Prakash Abdullah, there are numerous reasons why teachers leave early, but the burden of non-teaching tasks is top the list.
Adam said Malaysian teachers are focused on too much clerical work instead of concentrating on their core business of teaching. He argued that teachers should have enough time to plan their lessons to carry out their jobs effectively. He also pointed out that teachers are pressured by unrealistic demands from parents.
Contohnya memastikan anak-anak ini berada dalam keadaan selamat sehingga ibu bapa mengambil mereka balik yang berlaku kadang-kadang hingga lewat petang. Dan ini menyukarkan pihak guru kerana mereka juga ada keluarga yang perlu mereka jaga dan seperti ibu bapa lain, mereka perlu balik ke rumah selepas bekerja. Jadi tuntutan-tuntutan ibu bapa ini juga salah satu sebab ramai guru merasakan bahawa kerja dan kerjaya guru ini sudah tidak menarik lagi lah untuk mereka.
Adam pointed out that STU received complaints from teachers concerning the home-based teaching and learning during the pandemic, and teachers were required to key in data repeatedly.
Di mana guru-guru dapat mendapati ramai pelajar tidak dapat menyertai kelas-kelas PDPR ini. Dan apabila kegagalan pelajar-pelajar ini melalui kelas PDPR, guru-guru akan dipersalahkan atas kegagalan ini. Walhal kita semua tahu infrastruktur kita tidak menyokong kepada PDPR yang telah dilakukan pada 2 tahun yang lalu, ya. Internet di kawasan-kawasan luar bandar.
A teacher from SK Sungai Pasin, Clara Beatrice, said it is crucial to overcome this issue by addressing teachers' working conditions, improving management at schools, implementing better policies, and ensuring greater use of local deployment.
If compared to 10 or 20 years ago, it is very different in terms of teachers' job scope. However, if we look at the bright side, the long-serving teachers choose to retire earlier, maybe because they want to give the new generations the opportunity to contribute to our nation in the education field.
The same was expressed by Wong Hung Huang, a teacher who have served for almost 7 years, said that teaching are no longer enjoyable as it used to be.
Bagi pendapat saya sebagai seorang guru yang sudah berada dalam perkhidmatan selama 7 tahun, punca-punca guru bersara lebih awal ada beberapa faktor, iaitu yang pertama, tugas tidak tertumpu kepada tugas hakiki guru. sistem yang sentiasa berubah-ubah, hilang keseronokan bertugas, tiada kepercayaan terhadap guru ekoran segala perkara memerlukan bukti, dan perkara yang mudah selalu dirumitkan dalam pengurusan.
Qari Jamaluddin has urged Malaysians to comply if business premises request to view the risk status on MySejahtera, as there will no longer be compulsory check-ins from Sunday.
Qari also urged those who test positive for COVID-19 to be responsible, stay at home, and obey the Home Surveillance Order (HSO). On Wednesday, April 27, the Health Minister announced the relaxation of certain standard operating procedures (SOPs), including the lifting of outdoor mask mandates, physical distancing requirements, and the operating capacity for business, apart from the MySejahtera tracking check-ins.
The requirement for COVID-19 testing before departure to Malaysia and upon arrival for certain categories of travellers is dropped starting today. Health Minister Qari Jamaluddin said these include fully vaccinated travellers aged 18 years and above and those aged 17 years and below, regardless of their vaccination status.
In addition, Qari said those who have recovered from COVID-19 infection 6 to 60 days before their date of departure, irrespective of vaccination status, are also exempted from testing. He added that travelers in that category are also required to take a COVID-19 screening test within 24 hours after arrival using RTK antigen under the supervision of a private medical practitioner registered with the Malaysian Medical Council either physically or virtually. Meanwhile, Qari said any traveller who displays symptoms at a country's international entry points will be required to take an RTK antigen test. At the same time, all travellers must display their traveller's card at the MySejahtera app upon arrival at the country's international entry points.
Malaysian diaspora is expecting a fresh new start of Hari Raya celebration. This time around, however, new restrictions and easing of measures are implemented. Nonetheless, Malaysian citizens are grateful still to be back home with their loved ones. Our U.S. correspondent Alfian Zaini has the report.
Within the aircraft has been completely taken off last week. Right, so nobody is mandated to wear any mask at all, in the domestic flights at least. But effective from April 1st, Malaysians returning from the US, specifically those that are more than 7 years of age, would require a mandatory RT-PCR COVID test 48 hours prior to departure. Well, this may require some spending of about $250 to $300 per person to guarantee results that is within the required time frame, but this cost is a very small price to pay, a very small sacrifice indeed, compared to the feeling of getting back together with our loved ones back in Malaysia. Cheryl.
Hi, how long have you not been in Malaysia, and what is your preparation to go back to Malaysia for the festivities?
Oh, okay. I think I was back home in January 2020, just right before the pandemic. I'm so lucky that I came back here, and then 2 weeks after that, the border was closed. Yes, I am super excited actually, since that all the restrictions have been lifted up. I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm just so excited to see my family, my sisters, my brothers, and then this is such a great journey for me. For more than 2 years, haven't seen them, to hug them in person, so this AIDIL-FITRI is gonna be one of the best, for sure.
What are your preparations to go back to Malaysia tomorrow, and what do you have to go through in order for you to go back?
Well, even though I'm very, very excited, safety comes first, you know. And then, as you know, we do have our My Sejahtera apps that required us to do the RT-PCR test to be negative before we flying home. So I just did my test just now, and then looking forward for the negative result, so I can just go home and see my family. Of course, precautions. Wear your mask, you know, in the area where the traffic is high, and then sanitize your hands. Whenever you touch everything, just making sure that you wash your hands, and then, yeah, importantly, safety comes first.
Thank you. Have a great and safe journey tomorrow to Malaysia, and happy Hari Raya to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, police in central China arrested 9 people on Sunday in connection with a collapsed building in Changsha City in Yunnan province. China's police said that the building's owner and 3 others responsible for its design and construction were detained on suspicion of major responsibility for an accident.
Another 5 people from a building inspection company were arrested for providing a false safety report after conducting a building safety audit of the hotel. The building, which housed a hotel, apartment, and a cinema, collapsed on Friday afternoon, leaving at least 18 people trapped and another 39 still missing. 5 people were managed to be rescued on Friday night. Authorities have yet to rule out the cause for the disaster. President Xi Jinping on Saturday called for an all-out rescue and ordered a thorough investigation into the cause of the collapse. Building collapses are not uncommon in China. In January, an explosion triggered by a suspected gas leak brought down a building in the city of Chongqing, killing at least 16 people.
Just as the world slowly eases its COVID-19 restrictions, New Zealand on Sunday reported its first case of Omicron BA.4 variant. The New Zealand Health Authority said it is the first known detection of the variant in the country.
The Health Ministry said the person arrived in New Zealand from South Africa on April 22nd and returned a positive rapid antigen test the following day and a positive PCR test on April 24th. It said the arrival of the subvariant is not unexpected and that there was no evidence that the variant is any more transmissible than others. Two other subvariants of Omicron, the BA.2.12.1 and the BA.2.12.2, have also been detected for the first time in New Zealand from travelers arriving in April. The BA.4 variant is one of the different Omicron subvariants being monitored by the World Health Organization. New Zealand is currently under the orange settings of the COVID-19 protection framework, where there is no limit for gatherings.
Wrapping up TVS Nightline tonight, the first partial solar eclipse of 2022 graced the skies of Santiago and parts of the southern hemisphere on Saturday, April 30th. The celestial spectacle began in the Chilean capital minutes before sunset, delighting those wearing safe solar viewing glasses.
A partial solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes almost directly between the sun and the earth, giving the impression as if a bite has been taken out of the sun. People are urged not to look directly at the sun during the eclipse without proper eyewear to avoid hurting their eyes. The next partial solar eclipse will occur in October this year and will be visible in Europe, Northeast Africa, the Middle East, and Western Asia.
And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. On behalf of TVS, we would like to wish all our viewers Selamat Hari Raya AIDIL-FITRI. Maaf, Zahir dan Batin. I'm Douglas Elliott. Thank you for watching.